Hi, my name is Greg Kochansky and I am the author of Controlling Your Legal Expenses, a workbook for growing businesses. Over the course of my legal career, I have learned what makes the largest companies in the world so successful at controlling their legal spending. In my book, I take those proven cost control strategies and simplify them so that businesses of any size can benefit from them. There's a real need for this. I know many small business owners who sense that they are overpaying their attorneys, but have no idea what they can do to change that. My book is tailor-made for them. In addition to describing these strategies, it includes a number of worksheets to help you put what you learned to work in your own business right away. In this video, I will walk you through one of those worksheets. When you purchase my ebook, you will receive it as a PDF file which you can view in Adobe Reader. You may already have Reader installed, but if not, you can download it for free from Adobe's website. Here I have scrolled down to the final worksheet in the book. One of the most frustrating things for any small business owner is receiving a large legal bill in the mail. You may be paying thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to your attorneys, but how can you tell whether they were worth it? This worksheet, titled "Did Your Attorneys Earn Their Fees?" will help you to figure that out. Let's walk through an example. So let's say that you own a seaside lobster shack, and your lobster supplier failed to deliver your order over Memorial Day weekend, which is your busiest weekend of the year. You lost about $30,000 in profits, you're upset about this, and you want to sue your supplier. So you hire a law firm, they approach the supplier. After some negotiations with the supplier's lawyers, your lawyers come back to you and say, well, we have a settlement offer from the supplier. He'll settle for $15,000. Now, it's not the $30,000 that you were hoping for, but it's a sure thing. You avoid the expense of going to trial, and your lawyers urge you to take the offer. You think about it for a couple of days, and you decide to take their advice. So the case settles, and you get paid your $15,000. Shortly after, you get your attorney's bill in the mail, and it looks like this. Like typical attorneys, yours billed you by the hour for their time. Here you have Mary, who's a senior attorney and was billing at $400 an hour. And then you have John, who is her junior associate, billing at $250 an hour. For each day and each individual, you have a line item breaking down how many hours they spent, what rate they were charging, and what the total works out to. Then at the bottom of the bill, it actually adds up the hours by individual. So you see that Mary is charging you $2,200 for her time, and John is charging you $1,500. And on another page of the bill, it shows you there were a couple of expenses also, about $20 for postage and copying costs. So you add all that together, and this ended up costing you $3,720. Now, what do you do with that information? So now we're going to use worksheet number 9 to do some automatic calculations and analysis of the billing statement that we were just looking at. So first we're going to enter in each attorney's name, the rate they were charging, and how many hours they billed. So we have Mary, who's charging $400 an hour and billed 5.5 hours of time. We have John, who was only billing $250 an hour and billed 6 hours of time. We also have $20 in expenses that you were charged for copying and postage and that sort of thing. Now we're going to move to the bottom of this page, where we're going to put in dollar values for the best possible outcome, the worst possible outcome, and what actually happened. So the best possible outcome here is probably that you win $30,000, which is what you lost on Memorial Day weekend and what you were suing the supplier for. Now, the worst possible outcome, you go to court, the case goes to trial, and you lose, and you end up getting nothing, zero. The actual outcome in this case is that you settled for $15,000, okay? So now we're going to move to the second page, and now this is going to perform some automatic analysis, so you don't have to do any of the math yourself. Okay, so the first item here is the total cost of this legal project, fees and expenses together. And that comes out to $3,720. Now, this is just a good way to check your lawyer's arithmetic on the bill. In this case, the numbers match up. but if their math was wrong, then you would be able to catch that with this calculation. Second item here breaks down how much of the total billables were attributable to one attorney or the other. So in this case, 59% of the money you paid your attorneys was billed by Mary, and 41% was billed by John. Now typically you want your lower paid attorneys to be doing as much work as possible, and you want your senior attorneys to be delegating as much work as possible to them. That didn't happen in this case. Here, Mary and John spent roughly the same amount of time on this matter, even though Mary's rate was almost double John's rate. So based on this information, you might want to go back to your attorneys and say, well, you didn't really delegate as much work as you should have to John, Mary, so we want to write down for some of your time. The next item here is just another way of looking at efficiency and delegation. If only one attorney had billed 11.5 hours in total on this matter and charged you $3,700 for that time, then that would have worked out to an average hourly rate of $322. So, remember, Mary was billing $400 an hour for her time, and you ended up paying $322 an hour overall for everybody's time. So you almost paid Mary's hourly rate for all of the work that was done here. It's just another way of saying that this matter was perhaps not handled as efficiently as it could have been. The next item here calculates expenses as a percentage of total costs. In this case, only half a percentage point of your total costs were made up of expenses. Now, on a typical project, you want expenses to be less than 10% of the total cost. If you're on a case where there's a lot of travel, where attorneys are racking up airfare and hotel costs and a lot of after-hours meals and taxis and those sorts of things, well, it can add up really quickly, and you might be in a situation where expenses end up being 20 or 30% of the total bill. In that case, that's really just not acceptable, and you really should be going back to your attorneys and saying something about it and demanding a write-down. In this case, that wasn't an issue. There really were minimal expenses in this case. The last item here is something that I call the attorney value score. And this is why you entered in the information about the best and worst possible outcomes and the actual outcome on the previous page. Based on that information and based on the total amounts that your attorneys charged you, this calculates whether they gave you good value or not. Now, it's on a scale of 0 to 1, and a 0 means that the attorney gave you absolutely no value. They were terrible. You would have been better off not hiring them at all. A 1 means you had the greatest attorney ever. They charged you barely anything, and they won you an enormous amount of value for your business. Now, in this case, these attorneys scored a 0.5, which is right in the middle. It's exactly average. This means they did a decent job for you. They didn't rip you off, but they also didn't create an enormous amount of value. So you might want to keep that in mind next time when you're searching for an attorney. Maybe you can do better than Mary and John. So this is just a really quick example of one of the 9 worksheets that are in my ebook. I hope it shows you that these are simple to use, easy to understand, and give you a lot of useful information that you can use in evaluating your attorneys and how much they charge you.